Hi. Today I want to give you a quick intro and show you a quick demo of Promethium. Promethium is your new agentic analytics stack. In one sentence, it's how you give every person and every agent in your business trusted answers from all your enterprise data, in seconds and without moving any of it. The way we do that is with a drop-in architecture that connects to all your distributed data sources and is able to federate against them with zero copy. Around that, we built a context layer through a context graph that leverages your existing investments. It pulls in the context that's trapped today, whether that's in your catalogs, your semantic models inside your BI tools, your internal wikis and documentation, and even what's in your people's heads and their query history. Wrapped around that is a trust harness that checks every result in real time, so you know how confident the system is in its own answer and whether it needs further human review before it goes out through any of our downstream interfaces. There are three common ways customers use Promethium. The first one is the AI Analyst. It's an experience primarily for your data teams to build data products and insights for the business faster. What used to take a seasoned analyst 4 to 6 hours now takes them 10 to 15 minutes. The second one is around talking to your data, or AI BI for the business. They're able to move beyond static dashboard reporting, and executives and business users can simply interact with data conversationally right inside the tools they are already using, like ChatGPT or Claude. And the last one is for your agents. Instead of having to build one-to-one integrations for every agent and worry about context and governance, Promethium gives them a single access point to all the data and context they need to make decisions. Today, for the demo, I want to focus on the first two. So let's jump into the AI Analyst first. So this is the first of the two experiences I want to deep dive in today, which is Mantra, which is your interface for your data analyst, your business analyst, and generally speaking, your more technical people. And so the first thing you can do here whenever you get in is obviously you might have to question about what data do I even have access to, right? And you can simply ask that question. The whole premise is always using natural language to make your life easier and make you work faster. And you'll see we have access to a couple of different schemas in Snowflake and in Salesforce. It is an insurance data set that has some information around policies, claims, expenses, etc., etc. And so now I can simply go ahead and ask my first question, which is give me the top 5% most profitable policies that are sold to customers in my region. And that question is obviously somewhat ambiguous. But because of the business context that Mantra has, it is able to deduct a lot of this on the back end. So let me quickly walk through it, what it has done. The first thing it has done is it has joined stuff from Snowflake as well as Salesforce together to answer this question. And we can look at this little lineage diagram to see exactly that. So it's using a couple of different tables from Snowflake, it's using a different table from Salesforce, and it's all bringing them together in the same query. The second thing is when I said profitability, there's no column in my data set that ultimately is called profitability. Instead, there's a calculation logic that the system knows and that it's able to apply here, as well as it knows a bunch of details about who I am and my personal context. So it's able to filter down my region into the commercial auto line of business, as well as the Northeast stage, which are defined as New York, New Jersey, etc. And so what we see here is that it's able to build this SQL query that reflects all of these things that I can simply run in my console here. I get a result, and if I'm happy with that result, I can just go ahead and publish that out to the business. Or if I want to know how confident the system is in the result, I can go on this trust score tab where I see that, based on all of the rules that are stored in the system, it is pretty confident that the answer that it gave me is actually correct. And this check always happens in parallel when you ask a question, where the system basically checks its own work before it surfaces anything back to you. What we can see here is, there's a couple of different joins that are all kind of validated and endorsed in the system that were applied. There's a couple different tables and columns that we picked based on what was asked, as well as there's a bunch of different business rules that were applied to answer this question. And there's also a past query that is, similarly, or at least answers part of my question that was used to build upon. So the system is pretty confident that what it has done is correct. If there wasn't enough context, it would also flag that to me and tell me that, hey, I either need to add some additional context here, or I just have to do some level of manual review to make sure that the output is actually trusted. Now, if I'm happy with this, I can save this up and move on. But obviously, I can also just, go ahead, ask another question. For example, here I asked a question about adding some details around the customer address. Mantra just builds on the context of the conversation to answer your question. And in this case, brought in this additional information that's in Salesforce. And then if we run this again, we see that, there's a bunch of detail now around zip codes and addresses that was added. So if I'm happy with that, I can now go ahead and save this up. A couple of different things I do want to show you within this experience, which is primarily the context hub down here, which is a much simplified view of the context graph that sits on the back end. There's two main things I can see here. The first one is around the business rules. So it's a simplified view around what is stored in the system and that is relevant to me. For example, all of the business rules we just used, that profitable policy is defined via this combined ratio, and this is the calculation logic of that combined ratio. So going back to what we just saw, this is where part of this is coming from. The second view that we can go into here is a quick graph view of how different tables that I have access to are related to each other. And so let's go into this graph view and select the environment we're working in, which is this one. And we can see that it shows us how these tables are interrelated to each other, what the join keys are. If I want, I could also do this manually here, but I can also do the following, which is showing me now how this table relates to all the other stuff as well. So I can also see the relationship between the Salesforce table and the Snowflake table here, and what the join key is between them. So it's a neat, quick way to just look at relationship between data in a much more simplified way that is much more manageable than obviously the whole graph itself. And the second experience I want to quickly talk about is the whole talk to your business use case through third-party tools like Claude. In this case, we are exactly there. We are inside of Claude, and Promethium is connected through the backend via MCP, and we can now go ahead and simply ask questions about our data, and we'll see that Claude, we've asked the same question here that we've had before. Now Claude is asking Mantra about this. Mantra feeds back the relevant context, and as well as being able to then execute the query and actually get the results into Claude. And Claude can build us a quick table here with the result, as well as restating all of the business rules that were applied by Mantra, like what is the region, what is the line of business, all of the things we just saw in the other demo. And then depending on what we want to do, we can just use Claude, obviously, to go ahead and get our work done. So here I've asked for a quick visualization. So it's taking the data that was surfaced by Mantra to just build a couple simple charts of breakdowns and overviews. But depending on what your business user need to do, you could use the data you now have to build a report, for example, or build a presentation. And if they need additional data points from Mantra, they can just go back and ask those questions against your entire data estate rather than having to bug a data analyst for it. So obviously, this makes your business users much more productive in terms of allowing them to actually finally self-serve data by themselves in a simple and interactive way rather than going to other people or having to investigate dashboards or having to download stuff from dashboards that they can then manipulate in Excel. So this is the end of the quick little demo I wanted to do for you today. If you have any questions, or if you want to see a more personalized demo, or if you want to explore how Promethium can help you and your enterprise to become more AI ready and enable these types of trusted agentic analytics, please either reach out to me or reach out to our team to schedule a demo, and we can take it from there. So thank you so much for your attention today, and looking forward to speaking to you soon. Bye.